Hello YouTube world, my name is Nicholas Montez and you're watching my YouTube channel, Nicholas Montez. Okay, so this is another one of those videos where I have them filmed on Monday. Yes, I'm starting this week off to a great start, and today we'll be reviewing the next DreamWorks film in my DreamWorks series, Monsters vs. Aliens. But before we get into that, we need to, like I did with my movie review, where I reviewed, I believe it was Shrek the Third. Like I did with that, I'm going to be reviewing two other DreamWorks films. Yeah, that's right, two, not just one like the last one. We're going to review two movies, and you'll see when I get to the first movie that I review. Just a quick review. With that said, let's get started with the first review before we get into Monsters vs. Aliens. Okay, so for the DreamWorks movies that we're reviewing today before we get into Monsters vs. Aliens is Kung Fu Panda and Madagascar Escape to Africa, which we'll talk about after Kung Fu Panda. So this is just my quick thoughts on Kung Fu Panda. I just think it's a fantastic movie. I've talked about it in my favorite movie from every year I've been alive, where I talked about that it's my favorite movie of 2008, which you can kind of see that this one's better than Madagascar Escape to Africa. I'm not saying that, but you can kind of see that. But I think that this is a fantastic movie. It takes this, it takes this premise of a panda doing kung fu, and they use it in a very great way. The character of Po is probably one of the best DreamWorks characters we've ever explored, and as we go through the entire trilogy of films, we get to see him in a really cool way. Add to that, each and every single one of the characters are all fun and all charming. They're played by great voice actors with Jackie Chan, Angelina Jolie, Seth Rogen, which is a perfect movie for this review, David Cross, Lucy Liu. Like, all the characters are just fun and likable. Granted, I wish we could have gotten a little bit, I like how for the side characters like the Furious 5, where we didn't get like a backstory for every character. I kind of wanted a little bit more of that, which is why I like the Secrets of the Furious 5 a little bit more. And I like how we got a little bit of the details for Tigress. I thought she was a really cool character. And then the villain storyline I thought worked really nicely as well. So, and Master Shifu's story, like the themes in here are just fantastic, and I love that. So, this is actually one of my favorite DreamWorks films. You'll see where it ends up in my ranking at the end, but overall, a fantastic DreamWorks film and a movie that everybody should see if you're a fan of the genre as well as this studio. Now, Madagascar Escape to Africa, I actually think is a much improved sequel of the original Madagascar, because, granted, it is after the first Madagascar, but I like the origin of Alex. I liked the way they did that stuff, and you know, the relationship with his father and stuff like that. There's not really a lot to say about this movie. It's just fun. It's good, and it's just much better than the first Madagascar. And of course, it probably has one of the best scenes of all DreamWorks films. When the old lady is beating up Alex. That's probably one of the funniest scenes in animation history. So, a lot of things to like about this film. The character development, more likable characters, beautiful worldview, especially how this is actually the actual animal length one. Granted, the Madagascar did kind of tease that a little bit, but you know, they had a lot of weird things with animals standing up on their legs when they should be on all fours. But I think this is a much improved sequel, better than the original. So that's my thoughts. With that said, that's my thoughts on Madagascar Escape to Africa. Now let's get on to Monsters vs. Aliens. Alright, so I think the thing that I liked about this movie is really just the humor. I thought that some of the humor, it's just really nice to see Seth Rogen, and that's kind of why I talked about my Kung Fu Panda little review, that he was an important part of the movie because he's one of the best characters of this entire movie because Seth Rogen is just so funny. He's basically funny in everything that he's in, and he's just so good at comedy, and I don't know, he just has that thing in him, like just so good at comedy. I love it. But the other thing I want to talk about is that there are some action sequences that I actually found pretty clever. Especially when the monsters are fighting the aliens, which is also pretty cool. Granted, they don't use the aliens plotline a lot in this film. They're kind of like a little bit in the film. Granted, they have this big robot. It's not the best storyline to come up with. So it has some enjoyment value to be had with the action sequences, the humor, and really just some themes here and there I thought were good. And it also is an entertaining film. There's definitely some moments where they're predictable, which is kind of funny at the same time. And you know, I also liked how they told the backstory of all the monsters. And I also like how Susan, granted, I'm not the biggest fan of that character. I'm not the biggest fan of her character, but I like the way her origin story of becoming a monster was actually handled. I thought that was probably a really good part of the film, and it felt like an actual superhero origin story to me. So that was good. But that's everything I liked about Monsters vs. Aliens. Now let's get on to the bad. And for me, this kind of had some of the same problems that B-Movie had, where it feels so awkward, and it feels so noisy. With, what's the girl's name? With Susan's character, played by Reese Witherspoon, it seems like something that I would like, because I've seen the movie Sing, which technically came out a lot of years after Monsters vs. Aliens. I think Reese Witherspoon is much better character in Sing than what she's in this movie, because her character is just so awkward. She keeps screaming all the time, and it's just annoying to hear that. Just hearing her scream, it's annoying. Just feels like an animated they try to make an animated high school film, and it just doesn't seem right. But you know, her origin story is pretty good. But really, that's really just the only problems I really had with the film. It's decent. I mean, it's not the best movie in the world. Also, I don't really think that the aliens plotline, I feel like the aliens plotline should have been better. But it's a tough film to talk about because it's like, there's a couple of things I do like about the movie, but then there's not. And it's kind of difficult to talk about a movie when there's things you like, but then there's things you don't like. Also, Paul Rudd is in this movie, and he is a jerk in this movie. But also, it's kind of one of those, it's another one of those movies where you feel satisfied at the end. I'm not really sure if this is the type of movie. But it just felt, I don't know, it just didn't feel right. I don't know. I guess it just felt okay. That's really what I just thought about the film. It's not fantastic. It doesn't have the best premise. It doesn't have the funnest premise. But yeah. So this movie's decent. So that's my thoughts on Monsters vs. Aliens. Before I give you my score down below, be sure to tell me down below, what did you think about Monsters vs. Aliens? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Or right there between like I am? And are you going to be seeing it this weekend? Let's get some nice discussions going. With that said, let's get on with those scores. Alright, so that is it for my Monsters vs. Aliens ranking, but we're not done yet. We have one more thing to do before this video is over, and that is to see where does it rank in my DreamWorks ranking of the films up to Monsters vs. Aliens. So I'm gonna put the ranking up on the screen, and you'll see where it ranks. So here's my ranking of the DreamWorks movies up to Monsters vs. Aliens. Alright, so that is my DreamWorks ranking of all 18 DreamWorks movies up to Monsters vs. Aliens. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. My Instagram name is Marvel6, and my TikTok name is Marvel1Fan. If you guys don't understand those names, head to my About section to get those names and follow me on those not streaming services. Follow me on those social medias, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.